Could
Yeah.
that be a little bit of what they're doing here with Jalen a little bit too? And
I
throwing him looks that maybe he struggled with a year ago and seeing how he reacts?
No doubt about that. They are putting him through it because, they're not just jumping in simple zones and everything. They're mixing things up, and they're blitzing him at times. They're changing things up. And really, it's tough on him, but this is what he's going to face when he gets against good teams. They're not just going to come out and jump in something that's simple, so that he can easily decipher what they're in. And
you have that. If you're James Bradberry, you get an opportunity to stay in the NFC East. And it looks like it's absolutely paid off. All right, let's get over to our friend Garry Cobb from Fox 29 in Philadelphia. Gary, am I right when I say that? Bradberry's been one of those guys who's really looked great during the camp here. Would you agree that what an advantage it is for him right now for him to be able to stay in that division?
Well, he's even said it. Like when I was talking to him and talking about the Eagles receivers, he knows all of them. He's evaluated most of all these guys. So, and he's a cerebral player. He's a smart guy, which is good. And he's a hard worker. The guy's a pro. So I like that. When you add a guy to the team like that, he's going to help a lot of your younger guys progress because he's serious about practice. He's serious about being prepared to play. He's talking over, the different responsibilities and everything. He's really like a coach having him out there because he's that kind of guy. But he definitely knows the rest of the division, and he's going to help the guys get ready for it because he studied all of the division. And you can see that he's a guy that plays with his smarts. And he even said it. He says, look, I'm not the fastest corner. So he said, I got to have an advantage. I got to know what they like to do. And especially when you're dealing with, speedy guys, he knows they have a certain advantage. Now, he's got some size. So he works well against big receivers. And he's a professional, though. You can pick that up right away. And, with Darius Slay, Darius is like the Mr. Entertainment. But Bradberry is Mr. Business.
And you could see it. You could see it, like you said, Gary, his professionalism.
Yeah.
Gary, am I right when I say this? Maybe the most impressive player so far in training camp has been Kizer White. Have you been impressed with him?
I have been impressed with him, no doubt about it. And, you can see there's certain things about him, again. That's why, some of these guys the Eagles have added. When you add professionals, see, that's different than adding a guy who's coming in and got to learn. No, they come in and right away he says, hey, we do a lot of the things the Eagles were doing last year. Says we play a lot of the same defenses. They just have a different name, but he's used to doing a lot of the same things. And you can see, again, professional, serious, practices hard, is prepared. Those kind of guys are going to help you immediately. And they're going to help this team because last year, at times, they made mistakes, and they weren't able to do everything they can do. Now, I can see where the coach wants to be able to show a lot of things. That's one reason the offense is struggling is because the defense is outplaying them. And the Eagles defense is showing a lot of different schemes that they didn't show last year. So these are things that really giving the Eagles offense some trouble because they're showing different looks. And that says something a lot about these guys they're bringing in are guys that know pro football.
Gary, I love that. And I heard somebody make a comment to me today about Mac Jones struggling in New England. And I was thinking of this, and you know this as well as I do. Mm-hmm. A second-year quarterback, all of a sudden these coordinators now have the book on this kid. You've got to improve your knowledge of the game in your second year, more so than the physical part of it. And I took away from that comment in New England, you got the greatest defensive coordinator in the history of the league throwing things at you that you struggled in last year, and they're working on it. Could that be a little bit of what they're doing here with Jalen a little bit too? And throwing him looks that maybe he struggled with a year ago and seeing how he reacts?
No doubt about that. They are putting him through it because, they're not just jumping in simple zones and everything. They're mixing things up and they're blitzing him at times. They're changing things up. And really, it's tough on him, but this is what he's going to face when he gets against good teams. They're not just going to come out and jump in something that's simple, so that he can easily decipher what they're in. And this is what he ran up against Tampa in that playoff game. You got an experienced team that's going to show you some different looks. In fact, it's going to show you some things they haven't shown anybody else. And that's what they do. And it takes you a while to say, okay, now they were doing this, now they're doing that. And you have to make adjustments. And, it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to do that. But he struggled. He would have to admit himself that he struggled with seeing some of these things to where you got 7-on-7 and he's holding the ball and he's not he winds up not throwing the ball. He's scrambling. I mean, you don't scramble on 7-on-7.
Let me ask you this, Gary.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to go towards what we're going to look at this year. And I'll ask you this. Do you think that the Philadelphia Eagles this year to win ball games are going to be balanced? Or do you think that they're going to resort back like they did last year to being a run-dominant team? Do you think that they do that and go back to what they did? Because on what you're saying right now, boy, I'll tell you what, I'd hate to start the season out like they did last year, 2-5.
Yeah, but I don't think they will. But I do think right now, the things they do best, and I've been out there at practice, hey, what they do best is running the football, play action pass, throwing the ball to A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert. And, it's hard to cover those guys, because at times they have the Z is in motion, and you don't know where he's at. Everybody doesn't know where he's at. And, he's going to be difficult to cover. And then you got to tackle him after he catches the ball. And the same thing with Goddard. So that's what they've done best, meaning like the Eagles defense hasn't been able to stop them from doing that. Now, those aren't big gains, but they'll be first downs. They're going to be first downs. So right now, that's where they're at. And I think the Eagles would be dishonest if they wouldn't admit that. But I think they could win with that for a while, but they've got to advance. You got to advance where in the drop back pass game, like you got to do a lot of times on third down, Jalen's got to improve there, and they've got to improve there. I think they'll continue to put in all of the offense. So everything's not in yet. So I'll give them that. But they know they got to make improvement. Everybody knows they got to get better.
Why is Nakobe Dean struggling?
Well, I think the thing that he is it's I just don't think he's in there a lot. I've been seeing some of the time he's getting, but it just
Gary,
seems
is
like
he hurt? Gary, is he hurt?
I don't know that he's hurt. I mean, if he is, I don't know that he's hurt. I have seen him do some good things, like really like pass coverage, but I don't see him doing much on when they get in there and they're doing the team drill with the defense where he's making a lot of plays on the run against the run. So I think right now the thing they would think about is if they're going to put him in there, it's going to be on third down, which is understandable. I think that's his strength. Now, if he's banged up or something, I don't know that. I don't see him limping, so I can't say that that's it. But you can see he's learning. I mean, this is new stuff for him.
Absolutely. I would say that one of the surprises, or maybe not a surprise to you, has been Jordan Davis. I mean, he's looked pretty good so far, right? And he's in shape. Can you see him being more of a factor in the rotation?
Well, I think that, he's done some things as a pass rusher, just with his brute force. He's created problems for some of the Eagles blockers there when they go one-on-one. The whole thing is you wonder how much he would be one-on-one. But, just as a guy who could push the center back some, if he just pushed the center back just a little bit and raised his arms, that's going to create problems because you can't throw over the middle because he's standing there with his arms up. He's so tall. So if he could just do that, that would be something that'd be a plus. But clearly they're working with him on his pass rush moves and developing him as a pass rusher. And, he's an extraordinary athlete. I mean, he's a specimen with the long arms. He's got speed. He's 330 pounds, just a gargantuan of a man. So the thing he has been doing, though, is stuffing up that middle, though. You can't run up that middle with him in there because he just does a great job. Even though he's got all that height, they can't move him out of there with a double team.
Two last questions for you. Am I right to say that Sayamalo has won the right guard position?
From what I could see, yeah, he's been the best, and they have he's got experience, so he has credibility with the staff, and so right now I'd say that's pretty much a shoo-in. It's a done deal that he's the guy there at that guard spot.
Garry, final question for you. I saw a video yesterday of Jalen throwing the ball to AJ, and that's where AJ's going to be a stud, is those jump balls in the end zone. You and I both agree he's going to be a red zone freak because he's just going to out-physical people. Yeah. But here's what I take away from it. Well, when you're not going to get hit and you're the quarterback and you know that, how much can you really take away from that drill and what you're doing when you know you're not getting hit? And when the bullets are real, I should use that term with respect. But I mean, how do I look at that? Okay, because he knows he's not going to get hit by any D lineman, and you know you're going to go jump ball. I mean, what are you taking away from it?
Well, the thing that I see that they have that's very difficult to deal with is they're going to have a running attack. Okay, the play action pass, you know when they go play action, you got to honor that run fake if you're a linebacker. And so if they got him man-to-man, AJ, you got one guy's got to cover him, and it's going to be tough not to stop him from at least just running a short route and getting the ball in his hands. And see, once you get the ball in his hands, then, he's a running back. Because it's a big, strong guy. And so, I'm out here at a golf tournament, and a guy that is very similar to him, not as big, but Urban Fryer. Urban Fryer. And I told Urban, I said, you know what? He's a lot like you, because Urban Fryer made a living of catching balls, running with the ball after the catch. He was playing, that Z spot where they're moving him around. They're moving him into the slot. They're getting the ball in his hands. And, he's not downfield as much, but he's catching a lot of short passes. And that's what I see them doing with A.J. Brown. And I think that's what they're thinking is, and it's something to be difficult to stop because you got that running game, and the linebackers, we can't be worried about A.J. Brown, and they're running the ball at you, see? So then that opens up all that middle area to guys like the tight end and A.J. Brown. So you got Goddard and Brown. That's where they've had success. Other areas, they just struggle. I mean, a lot of times Jalen doesn't get the ball out of his hands, and he's not sure when he's throwing it. You can see he's not throwing it with confidence times when he is throwing it. So they've struggled there, from what I've seen out there at camp. So they got to do better there. But right now they have a running game, and they've got A.J. Brown and Goddard into their passing game after that. And then, Smith has been hurt, so he hasn't been out there. So that's what I've seen. They've gone deep sometimes to Quez Watkins.
So you think Jalen Hurts has struggled?
Without a doubt. I think anybody would have to admit that. In fact, the coach has said it's been up and down. I mean, what he says, there's been up and down. Now, the first day, he looked great. It was 1, 2, 3, and the ball was out. 1, 2. But see, they were running simple coverages and things, and I think they've mixed things up now. They're showing him all of the defensive coverages and things because they've got these experienced corners. And I will tell you, so if anything he's got going for him is the Eagles' defense is better, much better than they were last year, especially when it comes to pass defense. Think about it. You got 2 Pro Bowl level corners. Devonta Maddox is playing real good in the slot. And you got some safeties that are doing their job, and they're tough to throw the ball against. That's pretty much what it is, So, that's the plus, is that their defense is better than it was.
Okay, now I'm going to end with this. Please tell me you're not a scratch golfer too.
No, come on. Yeah, I'm scratching.
Dude, I was going to have a problem with you, man, because you were a star baseball player, a star football player. I know you played hoop too. Hey, I'm just going to – if you were a scratch golfer, that's it, Garry.
Not much of a golfer. But I tell you what, I got Urban Fryer going. Though Urban said, man, it's about, whatever. He want to get his –
Oh, by the way, that's a different dude today than what he was when he first got in the league.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But he had some great years for the Eagles.
He did.
And I think AJ could have that kind of year for them, which is 100 catches, that type of thing, because they're going to be throwing him the ball, and hopefully the offense, the pass offense, will continue to grow and expand and get better as they go. That's what I'm sure they're hoping.
Garry, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate it. Thank you, Garry.
All right, have a good one.